So, hello everyone, this is Rokas, the guy who was getting beaten by the other MMA fighter. Uh, I am doing this live stream from another source, so let me see. I need to still figure a few things out. I think you guys are not getting the feed that I'm looking to give. Okay, there's 5. We'll need a few minutes to figure this out. 11 people. So, let me see, 16. So the feed is up. It's just another source. So there's a few people, I believe, waiting for the talk on another link. So just give me 1 minute. I'll take care of that. I'll give the link to everyone and then we'll start. Just a couple of seconds. How do I get it out? So anyone in the audience, I see there's some people are already out there. Could you give me the link to this video source to where it's being live right now? Would appreciate it. Yes, it is live. I need so if anyone could help me out and give me the link to where you're seeing this video, I would be grateful. We're almost there. Just give me a few seconds to figure out. Oh, there we go. Okay, got it. That's the link. Here's the current. Thank you. All right. Okay, cool. So hello everyone. Thank you for helping me out. So we can start with the questions. I'm fine to go there. While you figure out the questions, while you figure out how this works. So I see your comments. I don't hear you. I don't see you. But I see all the questions. So whenever you're ready, just post the questions on the chat. Yes, hello everyone. It's good to see you. Now, also I don't want to do this just as a Q&A, just as questions and answers. I'm as much curious about this topic as everyone is. As you see, there's so many people commenting about this video, and I'm very happy that so many people are so positive. I'm really impressed by the martial arts community, since on a general note, a lot of people tend to believe that, especially what goes to MMA or more hardcore martial arts, that they're not sensitive, they're all about, I think it's the traditional martial arts are trying to give a bad image to them, but looking at the comments, people are so great. Everyone really got the message of the video and everyone's really supportive, and I can see why, and I'm happy that it turned out this way. It could have went both ways. So I'll do a few of Q&As, I'll do a few of questions and answers, but I'm also interested in discussing with you. So seeing what do you think, where can this lead, what could be the next step, what can we make out of this? Should Aikido be improved? Should it be separated in a different area? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. There were a lot of great comments on the video. It's hard for me to see all the comments. There are just hundreds and hundreds of comments, so I don't have the time to look for all of them. That's why I wanted to do this Q&A. But there is a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good ideas, a lot of good tips that I got. So I'm curious to look into them live with you. So I see there's a couple of questions already. Let's look at them. I'll share my opinion. Feel free to give your opinion as well. Be included in the discussion. Don't hold back. If you have some negative feedback, sure, go ahead. We're all free. Okay, so let's see what the questions are. And feel free to ask any questions in terms of the video. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Okay, so there are some applications. The first question. It's hard to read the name, so I'll just go to the question. There are some applications you can use from Aikido and MMA, like Shionage, but you don't see much of this in MMA. Why? It's a good question. Again, as you see, that's not my area. My area is not, I'm not an expert of MMA. I'm not an expert in sparring. I'm as much interested in this question and where could this lead as all of you. I can share my experience, my direct experience from what happened and how it went in that video. So feel free to ask about that or just give your opinions so we can discuss about them. But to say why, I can say my opinion. I just don't think it's the final and best opinion. So why some techniques are not used in MMA? You saw me. You saw how I try. I know those techniques. I know what Shionage is. I know what Irumi Nage is. But it's just Tadas, the fighter I was going with. He's very good. But at the same time, notice and think about something. If and some of the comments mentioned that too. If Tadas would have went against Conor McGregor or some other famous MMA fighter, he would have a very hard time too because the levels are just so different. Those MMA guys, they're training so hard, so long, so much. They're really going for that. And in Aikido, we have so much of other stuff. We have all the traditions, all the bowing, all the regular grabs, and there's so much material that is not directly applicable to an MMA ring. So when you ask why the techniques are not used in MMA, my opinion is because, and most people notice that, because it was never really blended together. It was never really practiced on, maybe it can be done, I'm sure it can be done, but it never was used in the ring by sparring. Just people didn't invest enough energy to be able to use it. And with an experienced fighter who has a lot of experience, it's just really hard to apply it. So just a blunt, quick answer, but let's see what everyone else has to say. So I'm an Aikidoka from Morocco, and I'm actually interested in learning how to control my chakra, as we call it, internal energy. Please do what you think. So we'll have a chance to do other Q&As. Right now, I really want to focus with you guys on the MMA versus Aikido video. So if you have some extra questions, let's leave them. Maybe at the end we'll have some time to look at it, but let's try to keep it to in the beginning to the Aikido versus MMA video. I'm sure there's a lot we can discover here. Can Aikido be a self-defense method? My opinion, yeah, I think yes. Maybe it needs to switch on a certain level. It needs to, you should not expect to use the techniques as you do it on the mat. You should not expect to use the techniques in the same way in the street as you do on the tatami. I think that's ludicrous. But I do believe Aikido is suitable for a self-defense method. But again, let's leave it for later, that question. How much do you think is Aikido limited in sparring competition? Because many Aikido techniques, if done at full speed and strength, should damage the opponent's joints, ligaments. And again, those questions. I could tell my opinion, but I'm just there's so many different opinions that can be out there. So okay, let me do it this way. Let me look at whatever's out there, and we can see where we can start from. You guys look for the comments as well. Okay, now there's a question about the video, so let's look into that. Robert Koenig. In the video, you seem to be reacting for a wrist technique as Ziki or Kadegashi, which left you at a punching range. Do you think more ring-based techniques would have been more effective? So to begin with, I can share what happened because the video was cut out quite a bit. I didn't want to be very long so that you guys wouldn't have to bother to look for the whole thing. Nevertheless, the way it went in the beginning, it was my first time in the ring. So when I came, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I'm in my realm. And Tadas, he definitely knew what he's doing. He was controlling the space, he was controlling the rhythm, and it was really hard to go back and maintain my posture. I felt like he was drawing me into his realm, and I tried to respond in his way, but again, I'm not used to punching, I'm not used to being punched, what he mentioned later. So basically, what happened is that I tried to respond in the way he plays his game, and I even forgot about. I had ideas, preconceptions before what I would be able to do, but it all just disappeared when the sparring started because it's just so unusual for me. I'm as an Aikido traditional Aikido practitioner. I'm not used to that area. So we did some sparring for like 5 minutes, and only then it clicked to me. Okay, well, where are my techniques? Why am I not doing anything? And then the first things that came to my head, well, okay, I'll try to do a koregashi. I'll try to do a wrist throw. I'll try to grab him and enter, but it was just didn't work. Every time, as you mentioned, every time I would grab, I would get punched. I would be open, and he mentioned that too. So. Mm, Irimi based techniques, yeah, I guess there was one time when I was able to go around him where I had his back, but again, just wasn't I wasn't just didn't click. The reflexes of what should be done in such a situation, I know what to do in a traditional technique, but in that realm, that is just simply not practiced. It doesn't come up naturally, and the funny moment is the pace there can be so fast. I mean, Tadas was going easy on me, but the pace there is so fast that I realized you need to be very natural at what you do. You need to be natural in your responses. And for sure, I wasn't natural in my responses. I would need time to think, okay, how would I apply this technique in this situation because I'm not used to it, and the time just wasn't there. There wasn't enough time to do that. I believe it's true that if you want to apply Aikido techniques in that area, you have to become comfortable at it. You have to go there again and again and again. And after some moments of sparring, I was becoming more and more comfortable, but then Tadas would pick up the pace, pick up the rhythm, he would become more intensive, and then I would be screwed again. I just didn't have the space to catch him up. And my responses, my Aikido responses, just didn't come up naturally. I just knew them, but there was no bridge to use them in that area. There was one moment where I entered and I wanted to do Irimi Nage, but again, he is very well balanced. He's very well, he had a very good stance, and just it didn't go. Maybe I had the thought that maybe would have tried, if I would have went full on, if I would really try to do the techniques, first of all, it could be dangerous, but even then, I'm not sure if it would have worked. But anyway, I hope that answers more or less your question. I do believe that Rimi-based techniques, yeah, that would be more something to go. There were some comments which said that Aikido should be used from a clinch position. Again, clinch, nobody ever taught me how to do a proper clinch, so there's a lack of experience and knowledge too. But maybe that's an answer. Anyway, let's look at everyone else has to say. I think that you could use some atemis during sparring, yet they were hardly present. Can you tell why? Was it ring fright, or you do not use atemis in your techniques? Good question. So that question came up many times in the comments. Yeah, for sure. It makes sense about atemis, that you use an atemi and you do a technique. Now, what's interesting, at the end of the video, at the end of our sparring, and that part I didn't include in the video itself, Tadas was just pushing me. He said, punch me. Don't be afraid. Just punch me. Go ahead for it. Just kick me, punch me. But again, we do use ukemis in our techniques, but if you're an Aikido practitioner, you should know what I'm going to talk about. When we do an atemi, okay, you bring out of balance, you do an atemi, and you do an atemi, up to that point where there's that distance between your fist and the head. You never really strike. You never really go through. Our strikes don't connect. So I did realize when you asked me, so was it ring fright? Partially, I wasn't frightened. The pressure was there. I wasn't frightened, but the feeling of punching Tadas, punching him, just didn't feel natural to me. There was a cautiousness. I didn't want to hurt him. Basically, maybe that's an Aikido-based principle, or I'm not used to doing that. But now when I'm thinking about that out loud, again, true, in Aikido we don't connect. I never put on gloves and did an Aikido technique with an atemi which connects and really disbalances the person. So that wasn't in my system. And it was hard to go for it. It just, I felt like there's this gap. So for sure, if I would do it again, I would probably feel a little more comfortable, but that comfort was not there at all. So yes, we do use atemis in our techniques, but to tell you the truth, and I guess most Aikido people would tell you the same, we don't really connect. We're not used to really punching that head. So I think that might be a problem in this case as well. Yeah, so that's my answer, and I really also wanted to limit one last reason. I really wanted to limit myself to Aikido. I wanted to see, okay, how does Aikido work in this area? If I would start using karate, boxing, even when I started doing a bit of BJJ, in the end I said to Tadas, okay, you know what, just let's stop it here. I want to see if Aikido works versus MMA, and if I start going to BJJ as my solution, then that's the answer. It doesn't work. So I was more going for techniques, and that atemi, that ability to really be comfortable in doing atemis and fully connecting, it just wasn't there. So that's my answer basically. Let's see else. I'm not an Aikido practitioner, but Silat, I'm only interested in some aspect of Aikido, but some I found that it could be dangerous. Well, okay, let me see. Let's look at the questions which are connected to the video, first of all. Don't you believe that it is still good to evolve the martial art so you know how to defend yourself against a boxer or something? I don't see Sensei not trying to study how to beat a boxer. So that's a good question, Enlightened One. That's something that is on my head too. Personally, I do like to separate Aikido from more modern martial arts. I see Aikido, you probably know if you watched my videos, that I see Aikido more as a self-development tool. If I would have, my thoughts are, if I would have spent 13 years, the years I spent practicing Aikido really devotedly, if I would have spent those 13 years practicing MMA on the same intensity that I trained Aikido, I lived 3 years in a dojo and I just trained every day. If I would have spent the same amount of time training MMA or some other modern martial art, BJJ, I would be quite badass at that. But after that video, after I made the video, after I got more or less beaten, the question came up in my head, okay, so that means should I go and do some MMA and connect with the Aikido? And that is not really in my system. As I mentioned in the video, Aikido really helped me develop as a human being, as an individual. I feel it really empowered me, and I feel it can empower others. And when students come to my dojo, I do tell them, look, if you want self-defense, you will get some here, but my training is not about that. If you want self-defense, you should first of all do some other martial arts, and then when you want self-development, come to Aikido. When you want some Japanese traditions, etc., etc. So it's not. It's a path. It's definitely a path. It's a path that someone could take. Is it my path? Not really. And I am going to announce in this video that I'm planning, because it's obvious that so many people are passionate about this topic, both the TMA, traditional martial arts, and the modern martial arts. Everyone would love to see Aikido being applied in a modern environment. And I am planning to do a video series about that. I'm planning to do a video series where I just go again back to Tadas and we look, okay, so what needs to be done in Aikido to be able to use it in a ring or in MMA, to go to a BJJ instructor and ask him, and just look, okay, so what would it take to make Aikido into a more modern martial art? I'm interested to look at that, but at the same time, it's not my thing. It could be done, but it's a question. I think it's a question of decision, whether you want to go on that path or you want to stay on the regular path. So that would be my answer. But please do feel free to continue and expand from that answer. It's a good question. Next question, do you think it would have gotten better with more practice of using Aikido in that setting? For sure. Oh yes, that's definitely my feeling too. I feel, even during the sparring, I felt myself evolving. I felt slowly starting to try to enter. I felt slowly starting to use the punches. But it's just, we didn't go long. We went only for 30 minutes just because I realized my question was, if you train just in a traditional Aikido setting and then you go to an MMA sparring, are you gonna make it? And the answer after the 30 minutes is clear, no. Now the next question is, okay, can those two blend? If you spend enough time there, if you add some MMA, some boxing, BJJ into your Aikido curriculum and stick mainly with Aikido, can it work? That's the next question. I believe yes, and I'm interested to go through that process. I'm going to at least slightly go into it and share that with you guys. But as I said, even during the sparring, I felt myself evolving. It's just at the end I said to Tadas, okay, look, I got my answer. And because he started tutoring me, he started saying, okay, you should do that, and you should do this, and you should do that, and those were great tips. But I realized it became a private training. I wasn't sparring anymore. I was just having a private class, and basically, the sorry. And basically, as soon as I got my answer that traditional Aikido training is not enough to go and spar with an MMA guy, it was I was done. I said, okay, if we want to continue and ask the next question, what would it take to make Aikido usable in this setting? Then we would need to do another video. So that's why I stopped. But I do feel that as I evolved through the sparring, and that after the sparring I had so many thoughts, there's so many great comments that I reflected on. I spoke with my instructor, with my sensei about it too. He had some reflections as well. And there's so much stuff I could now do differently. And I do feel that if I would be comfortable in that setting, yes, I would start to go more into I would more go into Aikido stance. I would maybe more explore and try Aikido things, try entering, try the techniques. But it definitely would need I would definitely need to go there again and again and again. And I think that's the advantage of MMA people and other people, modern martial arts, because they pressure test themselves again and again and again, something we don't have in Aikido. And if your technique sucks, you see it so clearly and so quickly when you're sparring or rolling with another person, and then you have to evolve. In Aikido, the technique can suck and be good in the context of Aikido. You can do a nice technique, but is it pressure tested? Is it gonna work against an opponent who's hitting you back? That's a whole nother question. That's a whole nother realm that you need to explore. So I think yes, if you would go there and put yourself out there more and more, I do believe Aikido techniques you would slowly build into that. And Tadas, he's just so excited and pushing me so much. He's saying, you should come and train some MMA at least for a year. Just do some hitting. I'm gonna teach you, etc., etc. He wants me to do it because he feels that yes, after a year of training, I would definitely blend the two together. He's just so confident about it. It's just the question. I'm still asking myself the question if I'm really interested in going through the process. But I do believe the short answer to your question is yes. Next. We think you did not actually fight in the MMA demonstration. If I got the question correct, Daniel Rosa, in a sense, yes, I didn't fight. I mean, I wasn't fully going into it. It was sparring. And Tadas was holding back. He was really going with me as a first timer. And I appreciate that. If he would have went 100%, if I would have went 100%, my game would have been different. I would have used the temis, I would have tried to demobilize him, I would have went full on, but then he would have done the same. And I have the feeling he would have just destroyed me because he has so much more experience in that. So I did not fight, I did not go full into it. I was just sparring on a light level, but he did it too, and he was much better at that. So it's a subtle discussion here. Which technique did you find to be most useful in your sparring? Also very crisp video quality. Okay, so which technique did you find to be most useful in sparring? BJJ. Yes, every time I did little BJJ thanks to a friend of mine who taught me. But every time we would go on the ground, I would be like, oh yeah, I know what I can go for. I know what I can try besides the punching. I wasn't exposed to ground and pound. So that's another question. But in terms of going on the ground, I knew, okay, that's what I could do and that's what I could do because it was already pressure tested and given to me. as as a tool. Aikido unfortunately wasn't there for me. I had to figure things out on the spot and pretty much no technique. I didn't have enough time to try out those techniques. I have ideas of what techniques could have been used, could have been most useful, but I had none which were already useful in the way that I had it by my standard training. So unfortunately, the answer is like that. How far should you need to do techniques if you was in a fight like that? Okay, that's a tough question again. I think quick answer, I think full on. You know, you have to still protect the person, because if you hit the person's head in the ground, in the concrete, you're not going to be well afterwards. And that doesn't, now there's the whole question of Aikido philosophy, but it's a tough question. I think it's another topic besides the video. My thought was just closing the distance would take his punching out of the equation. Perhaps, that's good. That's a good question. That's good. When I see you wrote something else, yes, the pace was very fast, even at the half speed. Yeah, so yeah, maybe the one of the comments, or at least a few comments in the video that I read, was suggesting to go in a clinch and do the Aikido techniques from a clinch, which just totally makes sense. I feel like, yeah, that's a good idea. The problem is, Tadas as a semi, or even actually as a professional MMA fighter, he knows what to do there too, and he has experienced it. So I never learned to go in a clinch. I don't know exactly how to be acting properly in a clinch. I would just guess. I would just go for my intuition. And in the clinch, I do see, okay, there's a kotegaeshi, maybe a shionage, maybe an ininage. It becomes much more tight, but Tadas knows that stuff too. He doesn't know wrist locks, wrist throws maybe, but he knows BJJ for sure. And if we're tight, how much of a chance is that he would have used that straight on me? So if I would go for a shorter distance, there would be more chances for me to use Aikido, but at the same time more chances for him to use what he knows. So I think that's a step towards the solution, but again, I would just need to become more comfortable at it. So we can discuss about that later. Why you don't try fight with MMA fighter? I don't know, that's bad English, I think. I believe that Aikido practitioners need to have possibility to understand the techniques on both Aikido and self-defense street level. It's a good question. As I said, as you know, in the video I compared bicycles with cars, and I just said it's two different things, and that's my direction. And not everyone will agree with me, but you know, I try to separate those two. See, this is Aikido's more self-development and semi self-defense martial art. If you want martial art self-defense, go somewhere else. I'm sure it could be blended, but personally I do respect the Aikido philosophy so much that I do feel there's a danger that if we go full on into that direction of street self-defense, there's a danger that we might lose the whole tradition, the whole mentality of Aikido. I think it's a subtle path, it's a hard path to walk, and just, I don't know if anyone did it well. So it's something to consider, but that's the danger that I'm considered about. I'm cautious about. Yes, it did, Robert wrote. I'm just not sure what you responded to, sorry. Okay, they made a video about how to blend Aikido and MMA by effortless Jiu-Jitsu. True, I watched the video. Someone sent me the link of it. There's quite a few people who are enthusiastic to help, and I'm enthusiastic about that too. I'm curious to try it out. But that video, it was nice. I enjoyed it, and I think it has some good thoughts. But at the same time, the downside to it, you know, they really practiced that before. You know, one punch or 1-1-2. I don't remember the combination, but they were doing a combination, and it was a safe environment. The same type of safe environment that we practice in Aikido. That's the problem that I kind of reflected on. He didn't go versus an MMA fighter and said, okay, you do your stuff and I'm gonna show quickly what I do. So again, there's a question, okay, does it have potential? For sure. Would it really work? It's easy to speculate. I could speculate so many things. I could pretend to say so many answers, but honestly, I want to be really sincere and to be very, very clear. Until I did it, until I tried it, until I got it on a video and showed it to you, those speculations, they're useless. I think, yeah. So we can look at it, but until you pressure test it, until you try it, until you prove it, is it really worth the attention? So that's the question that came up to my head. What you just said make me remember this question. Does Aikido attack? I mean like judo or just self-defense? I think in sparring we need to attack a lot. Might be something to test as well. Try learning some basic boxing and some judo wrestling. Judo wrestling uses more gross motor movement and closer proximity. Yeah, I guess connecting Aikido with other martial arts would be a solution. It's a bit strange because like that means Aikido is not enough itself, but it's something to worth thinking and exploring. I see most of your video and it's very good. I need to see a real training for black belt and the methodology you use in training black belt people. Yeah, okay, I'll just scan through the comments to see what's related to the video. What if the striker was more committed to his attack? Would that make a difference in your defense? I feel that if he attack pulls back, it's hard to actually execute the technique maybe. So yes, in Aikido we have this a bit crazy thing. You punch and you stop and you wait for the technique to be done. That is weird. that is weird, and it's okay. I do realize it is a learning tool, at least from my perspective. And what I say to my students, there's the strike, and then you give the chance to learn to do the technique with it. But we don't ask our attackers to punch and pull back later on. It's not in the traditional curriculum, which is a bit bizarre. So the fact that normally I'm training with a person who stops their punch, even as fast as I try to catch it, whenever the person really pulls it back on a very professional level, it already causes difficulties because it's not my realm. I'm not experienced in that, as pretty much everyone in Aikido. If the attacks were more committed, that's the speculation from an Aikido perspective. That's the one I could go for as well. And that's what Aikido people try to say and pretend about. That, yeah, in Aikido we have to have committed attacks. And if it's an unexperienced person who really goes for the attack, yes, I believe Aikido is suitable for that. It's made for that. But Tada's committed attack, I don't know. I think his committed attack, there's so much chance that his committed attack would have connected, and the more intensity he would have given in the punch, the harder I would have had the time, the chance to respond to it. So basically, yeah, it was the speculation that if the attack would be more committed, that maybe I could use it more, is there. But is it true? Honestly, I could talk more about it, but honestly, I have my doubts, especially with a trained fighter. I think if he does a committed attack, then there's a lot of chance for trouble and little chance for the solution to be just out there without doing extra sparring. So somebody thanking for the humility. I'm very grateful people appreciate that. Hey Rokas, when it will be friendly round 2? I think that all Aikido techniques work, but need to train sparring and researchers. I agree. I think that's true, and that's kind of where we're heading to. I guess most of the answers. Round 2, as I mentioned, I'm planning to do a video series, like a whole season of episodes where I go to different modern martial arts instructors like MMA, BJJ, maybe some judo. I still need to figure the details up. But I am thinking about going to them and exploring together with them. Okay, so how do you see those techniques will work? Because even with Tadas, at the end of the video, we already started looking, okay, maybe you should do this and maybe you should do that. It definitely needs that extra exploration. I'm thinking about doing that, and maybe if Tadas agrees, after I go through the process, we do one more sparring and see what changed. I think I'm excited about that. I'm really enthusiastic. I'm sure a lot of people on the internet would be enthusiastic about that too. So probably we're gonna do that. But just we'll need some time, but it's on the menu. So yeah, what would you advise those who are looking at Aikido as a form of self-defense? In regards to Aikido, I've heard that a form called Yoshinkan is not as soft as traditional Aikido. I heard about I saw Yoshinkan. I heard a lot about it. I read about it. It's Gozo Shioda Sensei's Aikido, and some comments mentioned to me that might be a solution. I'm a practical guy. I went for the proof, and the proof was there. And if somebody wants to prove that Yoshinkan is suitable for that kind of situation, please do. Please show me. I'll be thrilled. Until then, it's just speculation, and we can speculate, but I don't want to waste my energy in speculating. I want to try, evolve, and for people who want to do Aikido as a form of self-defense, it's a big responsibility to answer that, and I have only my opinion. And my opinion is, yeah, I guess personally, when students come to me and say I want to do this for self-defense, I say don't expect too much about it. If you want just pure self-defense, there are martial arts which are dedicated for that. So why not train them? Why come to Aikido? Just ask yourself why you choose Aikido in the first place. I think there's a self-defense potential, but if you're just there for self-defense, there's a good question if it's the best place to be. But it's a long discussion here. Hi Rokas, is Aikido hard to apply in sparring and street fighting? In sparring, if you saw the video, yes, hell yes. I think it can be done, but traditional techniques, the way we train them, after the sparring, I started to consider them as Kyudo. You know, you take your bow, you shoot the arrow. It's nice. It's a wonderful practice, but are you going to expect to do all of that if you need to shoot something moving fast? You need to train differently, I believe. So I think the same is with Aikido. Why don't you break it down a bit? Try going against someone from judo so you don't have to worry about punches, then someone from boxing to worry only about the punches, etc. It's a good idea. I didn't think about it. I will consider that. As I said, I don't feel the passion in myself my personal passion is not the most deep with the desire to make Aikido technically practical. I wanted to pose that question because I'm sick of Aikido people. I think modern martial art practitioners are sick about that too. Aikido practitioners being all semi-gods and believing that they're the best, but they can't prove it because Aikido is not about fighting and our philosophy doesn't allow that. I'm sick of that. And some Aikido people were pretty upset. A lot of were happy, but some were upset about the video and trying to diss me and saying, no, you sucked, you did wrong, etc. I'm like, as I said, I'm not the best Aikido practitioner, but if you're better, if you want to prove that I was wrong, show it. Prove it to everyone. I'll be happy about it. No one else is doing it, so I decided I will do it. But I'm tired about that kind of Aikido perspective, and that's why I made the video, and that was the main motivation behind it. My motivation wasn't necessarily about pushing Aikido to the next level. I am looking into that. I'm interested in that process, but it would need so much devotion if you want to do it properly. So I'm not sure if my path goes towards devoting myself to that. So yeah, that's kind of my answer. What I want to say, and your suggestion is really great. I will definitely consider it. It's just I wanted to say straight ahead that I won't do it full on, but I will consider it. Thanks for the idea. What I mean is 50-50 is Aikido practitioner get inside facing opponent, not her back. That's dangerous in this situation in my experience. She can counter attack fast like boxing. Yeah. Okay, let me see what else. Comments are coming quicker than I can read. You should train with Roy Dean. He's a black belt in both Aikido and BJJ and has used many Aikido techniques to complement BJJ. Have you heard about him? Yes, I heard about him. I watched his message to Rogan. Joe Rogan, is that the it just went out of my mind. I know what I'm talking about though. Anyway, so his message was there, and that's the first time I saw it. And I looked at some of his videos. One of my colleagues interviewed him today, and I listened through the whole interview, and I enjoyed his thoughts. I do have a lot of respect for him. I would love to train with him. I think the problem with distance is there. I am thinking about doing another series of episodes on YouTube about Aikido in the modern world, called Aikido in the Modern World, where I want to invite all the famous Aikido practitioners who are on YouTube and kind of looking into that next step of Aikido. And Roy Dean is on my list, so I would love to talk to him. Training with him, well, it's such a big distance. I would need to fly, and I would need finances for that. So not yet. A colleague of mine is actually also a BJJ black belt and a passionate Aikido practitioner. He connected both as well. He's just not on the radar so much, but he's planning. I already invited him to come to my country, Lithuania, in June, and we are gonna make videos about that. And I'm very excited, and I'm gonna share that with you guys. I'm gonna ask him how he applies Aikido in a BJJ setting. I'm gonna ask him for some special classes. So yeah. Sorry, I'm streaming through a phone and it's somebody's calling. Anyway, so I'm planning to do that, and I'm excited about that. So that's as close as I will get to doing something I would do with Wardine. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. You allowed him to lead you and didn't flow with him. You were trying to do techniques instead of emptying your mind and allowing your muscle memory to do its work. You tried to win, which is contrary to what a sensei taught. Now, I will say you are speaking out of a theoretical level. I know what you're saying, and I was there 10 years ago, before I tried BJJ, before I realized that in BJJ, I'm a child, even as a black belt. Before I tried sparring with an MMA guy. Trust me, it's easy to think about this, and the reason I made the video is because so many Aikido people are looking at it in a similar way. They're saying that they're better without actually ever trying it. You want to make sure that what you're saying is right, that it's enough to empty your mind and flow with the person. Try it with an experienced fighter, and then come back to me and say, you see, I was right. But until then, trust me, this is theory. I'm a martial arts master out of the States here. I practice a style which is very practical but maintains the Aiki ideals. I would like to send you an educational video later this week. Sure, do send me. I'm looking into expanding this topic and including various people in the process. So if you're in it, sure, I'll be glad to connect up with you. If you find yourself more comfortable as the session went on, what were you getting more comfortable with? Tatas mentioned you were afraid of being hit. Tatas, yes. Was it the hat or something else? Sure, yeah. I was becoming more comfortable, but as I said, the more comfortable I would become, the more Tadas would pick up the pace, and I was just still on child versus adult feeling. He did started giving me a chance. He said, okay, I'm going to be really super light. I'm going to give you chances. Just do something. As I said, I just realized it's another topic. That's not where I came to do the video. And I tried some things, but I realized, you know what? If we do that, we do it later. Right now, my answer is answered. Yeah, let me see. Yes, I was afraid of being hit. I mean, afraid, fear is a certain word. There wasn't like, I'm afraid to get a hit, but the body was just reacting really bad, like really trying to prevent the strike. And what Tada said, apparently in MMA, you have to get used to being hit. I'm not used to being hit. And I think that's it's not about being afraid of being hit, it's just being reactive to the kind of self-preservation mode and not being comfortable. I wasn't comfortable at being hit. I mean, it wasn't a problem if I would get punched in the face. That wasn't a problem, but I don't have that condition in me to just go there and not allow the mind to kind of spontaneously react to it. So it was more kind of reactivity than fear. But I think you get what you mean. But that was giving difficulties. Later on, when I thought, yes, maybe if I would second a punch and then do a technique because of that, that might be a solution. But again, the question was, if you just go straight on off the tatami to an MMA ring, are you gonna make it? That was my question, and that was answered. Everything else follows later. Okay. So, man, you should definitely go and make videos with Aikido Flow and the Rogue Warriors one time. We did make a video with Aikido Flow. It was just like a more philosophical, nice video. It was about why Batman loves Aikido. You can check it out. I do have a connection with their founder, Jason. He's really great. We had a whole talk recently, and I'm planning to make a video where I will include him. I am planning to connect up with Lenny Sly from the Rogue Warrior. We're all more or less connected. I didn't have a direct connection with Lenny Sly yet, but I'm looking forward to connect up with him, and I'm going to plan to include him and ask him if he wants to be included in my next project, the Modernized Aikido, where I go to different experts of more modern martial arts or more modernized Aikido and ask them for tips. Okay, so what should I change? What works? What doesn't from your experience? And I want to include Lenny Sly in that. That would be awesome if he would agree. That's my plan. And Aikido Flow, yes, we have some projects too. So just stay tuned. We're gonna get there. Have you heard of Roy Dean? He's a BJJ and Aikido black belt and used them in both seminars. You probably joined in a bit later. I did talk about that. Yes, I heard about him, and actually, he's not the only one apparently. So a colleague of mine is a very skilled BJJ black belt as well and Aikido professional instructor. He's coming to. I invited him to my country in June, and I'm planning to do a few videos with him about Aikido, connecting Aikido and BJJ. I will actually publish a video where I interview him fairly soon, so you can look into that. And yeah, so we're gonna look into that. Okay, so what else in terms of video? So someone is asking, how do I start my own Aikido group? Just to let you know, this is a side topic. I am consulting people on that. If you're interested, at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you a link on where you can connect up with me about that. So we can look into that later, but that's not the topic of the video. Okay, questions. As I said, this video is for the video MMA versus Aikido video related questions. Everything else, we leave it for the next time. Maybe some complex techniques are here to show the principles, not to be forced used in a fight. In a fight, it should be much more minimalistic. That's the approach that I have. That's the opinion that I have too. For sure, that the techniques we do on the tatami, I do say that to my students. These are principles to learn. But again, the problem that I faced in the ring, and I think most Aikido practitioners, if not all Aikido practitioners would face as well, is that the minimalistic way, you still have to experience it. You still have to be adaptable. Like when you train the first time Aikido techniques, it's just so tough. It's just so far out of your reach. And you need to practice it. And then when you want to do it minimalistically, I think you have to practice it as well. So without practice, I think we are in trouble in terms of this specific area. Okay. I'll send you a great vid about this topic later this week. Okay, great. I'm just skipping through comments which are not connected with the video. It seems that when they leave the punch out, it is more of a knockout punch, and that's what we train within Aikido. Maybe. With boxing being another martial art, they learn how to be safer and throw jabs, which are knockout punches. Do you agree? Let me see once more, enlighten one. It seems that when they leave the punch out, it is more of a knockout punch, and that's what we train in Aikido. But with boxing being another martial art, they learn how to be faster and throw jabs, which aren't knockout punches. Do you agree? I guess I would need you to more clarify your statement, but I think I'm with you. Aikido was developing with the Osensei and his book. He said we also have to keep developing it. So guys, don't stop. Keep exploring other martial arts to understand Aikido and improving Aikido. I do relate to that sentence that Osensei was blending different martial arts and he was evolving constantly. And Aikido has a tendency to be conservative, which might be a problem. If you use it in a positive way, maybe it's good, but on a general note, I think that may be a problem that Aikido is facing, and that's something I want to break through. That's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos, is to kind of get Aikido out of that mystical conservative, we know everything, everyone else sucks world. So we'll see where we can get with that. I'm losing the. Sorry guys, I'm trying to catch up and see what's related. Trying to hit a standing wrist lock in an MMA match seems like a very bad idea. Yeah, but it was an idea, so I had to try it. I would say ask Forrest Griffin if jabs are knockout punches. Andrew Silva knocked him out with a jab. Okay, that's a discussion. You and Tadas actually, you're well. Both mentioned the fear of being hit. What are your thoughts on incorporating desensitization into Aikido? Thinking about your body hardening, repeated hits, kicks. It's a good question. It's something that I struggle with too. I feel as a human being, as an individual who wants to evolve on all levels, who wants to just become a better human being in general, sensitivity is a great tool. As I said, Tadas showed great sensitivity. I was really impressed, and yeah, so I'm not sure how much it desensitizes you. Whether my students would want to get hit all the time and become desensitized, I don't think so. And would I want to have that? No. To become comfortable with that, to know how to implement that, yes. But to be exposed to that all the time, that's definitely not something that I'm inspired to go through. Bottom line is that Aikido works on some not trained people. Everything is better than nothing, but Aikido is one of the least efficient styles. It might be true. It's something we are looking into. I'm training Aikido, and besides of that, some Krav Maga. Aikido really helps to understand the Krav Maga stuff, but there has always been a shock. But there has always to be a shock technique before I try to stand an Aikido lock. That may be one of the solutions. Aikido is a strong martial art, and it was trained at Army in Chile. Yeah, and of course, the Aikido techniques has to be really simplified. Could be, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I see all these comments saying you should learn modern martial arts and combine them with Aikido. The only problem is that modern martial arts are only as effective as individuals' fitness level. Maybe, it's an interesting statement. I think it's more practical if questions asked on comment section and you pick which questions to answer in the next video. Live chat room is fast and it'll disappear when ending the session. Well, I wanted to discuss with you guys live. It's a good idea it's a good idea to, maybe that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to ask people to comment and then answer. I thought about doing the next video with Tadas and include him. So maybe if you will guys have some extra comments and write them after the video is published, then maybe we could answer it just by looking at them. It's a good idea. You should do more sparring. If I want to make it work, yes, I agree. Aikido waza is so difficult. I think you learn Aikido, you should manage how to fight and how to control your waza. Well, yes. I'm going to the end slowly. Okay. By the way, I thought this was a great thing you did, quite inspiring, and led me to see some gaps in my own training and teaching, which I will be correcting. I believe, I think that's why I did it too. I want to see the gaps, and I think the gaps are there. So I think it's important to ask those questions because, as I said, so many Aikidokas have the tendency to theoretically think about it and have those answers theoretically chosen, but until we try, you just don't know. If you don't try the taste of coffee and you have all these theories about coffee, you're not going to go far until you actually try it, even if those theories are nice. There you go, coffee. Have you ever experienced a street fight using Aikido? I did. Aikido did help me out quite a few times. Most of the times verbally. I just deflected the necessity to fight. I used a few deflections. But like hardcore Aikido techniques and street fight, I just never needed to use them. The important question modern martial artists won't admit to is this style really effective when I turned 40? How about 50? How about 60? Well, it's a question to explore. Your body goes into shock when you're hit. You need to teach your body to not go into a shock. Okay? Especially Aikido doesn't work at ground because Aikido has no good ground skills. Just my opinion and my experience. True. When I first rolled with a BJJ guy, I was already a Aikido black belt. I was a child, same as with Tadas. It's just different areas. And I do love to include a bit of groundwork in Aikido, but Aikido is already so vast, it's hard to put everything in it. I think it's a question needed to be explored. Guys, you should watch Aikido Jitsu TV channel. They make Aikido work versus realistic attacks. Well, feel free to post the link after we end the video so it would get stuck. How to, okay. Do I think Lenny Sly would beat the MMA guy? I don't know. I love Lenny Sly, but I haven't watched his videos so deeply, and I never trained with him, so I would know. Whether he would have a better chance than I did, I'm pretty sure yes, because he's looking into that question. It's a constant question for him. For me, it's something just sometimes comes up. So I think he would have done better than me. How well? I just don't know. It's hard to control. Bigger person, you should training at the dojo. Okay, we're almost reaching the end. Do I practice Aikido Jiu-Jitsu? No. How would a sensei beat an MMA guy? Good question. Why don't you train an atemi in the fight rather than trying to go directly in for the wrist lock or throw? So once more, why didn't you try an atemi in the fight rather than trying to go directly? I tried, but you joined the video later, so I did answer that more or less. The quick answer is, I realized as I spoke, in Aikido we never connect with the punch. We never really touch that face, and I feel it just wasn't comfortable for me to hit the person. As simple as that, because it was sparring. It wasn't a real situation. A real situation, I'm sure I would do it. Back there, that quality, that comfort in doing that just wasn't there. So that's the problem. Aikido is meant to be 90% atemi according to Sensei. Do you agree this is lost completely? I heard that quote many times. It's tough to say what a Sensei really meant, when he meant. It's tough to make those final decisions. It's something to explore. I'm not sure if a Sensei said that or one of his students. You would need to clarify that. But is it implemented in the training? I would agree. It's not. Okay. Okay, I reached the end finally. Okay. Cool. Well, anyway, I'm sure this could be endless, but as I said, this process that you guys are going through, I'm going through as well, and I'm so happy to see that so many people are enthusiastic about this process and so many people are positive about this process, and I am looking into putting it to the next step. So a few announcements before we finish up. I am planning to do a serious, what I will call modernized Aikido. I will need a month or two to film it. So I'm planning to do it with Tadas again, with a BJJ black belt, with a BJJ Aikido black belt, and I want to invite Lenny Sly, maybe the Aikido Flow guys, and yeah, I want to do a video series where I will go and explore with them. Okay, what should change in Aikido to make it more MMA proof, and maybe go back in the MMA ring again and see what happens. So that idea is there. So if you're interested, subscribe so you know when the video comes up. I'll do my best to make it as soon as possible. I will take some time though. But yeah, it's on the menu. There's some other projects as well, but this is the next one. So we will continue. If you have some questions, comments, more, do let me know. I'm more than happy to go into them. But basically what I wanted to say is, as I'm going through this process, I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate your thoughts, your tips, your ideas, your experiences. And that's why I wanted to do this live chat. I'm not the end know-all guy who's going to answer everything. I'm going through this process as freshly as everyone else, and that's why I want to put myself in that situation, in that realm, and see how that makes me grow. And this conversation that I wanted to start, it wasn't about me telling everyone the answers. It was about me, as much as everyone else, wanting to get this thing figured out. And so I appreciate yourself being included in that. And yeah, I'm happy that we're doing this. A couple more things before I finish up. So I promised a colleague I will share something So I'm putting this on the, oh shoot, they're not allowing me to put in a web address. So I'll just remove the HTTPS. So you're gonna need to, oh no, they don't let me. Anyway, I'll include in the comments a link. So I will be doing live panel. A colleague of mine for those interested in Aikido, he gathered a lot of the main Aikido instructors, like more than 40 around the whole world, and he's gonna do a free teleconference. His name is Miles Kessler Sensei. I'll be included in that too on Friday, so I can copy that. I'm gonna be in a panel at this time, sharing my experience with YouTube of what I learned. So I will include the link right after the video is done. I will include the link down so you could watch it if you're interested. And the last thing, I'm also starting a project. So for those who want to connect up on a personal level, if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel or running a dojo, I decided to, as one of the ways to support my dojo and to support other people, I started a website of coaching. So if you want some tips on doing a YouTube channel, running a martial arts dojo, a yoga dojo, I have some experience in that. I'm gonna post a link as well. It's very easy. It's rokasleo.com. So it's the shortening of my name. So if you're interested, look into it, and I'll be glad to get to know you on a personal level. But otherwise, as I said, this process is going through. This is not the end, and this is the very end. One of the ideas was great. I want to include Tadas in the next one, so if you have extra questions, you want me or Tadas to answer them, I'll probably make another video to just opening up that conversation soon enough, and you can write the questions, and then we will sit down and record ourselves giving the answers. I think that's a great idea. So this was a good start. Thank you everyone for your participation, for your support, for your enthusiasm. I'm happy to be going through this process together with you, and I'm sure we will bring this even to the next level as we go. So thank you everyone. We're gonna finish up here, and just a last moment to say bye, besides the person who just joined and starts trying to say the conversation. So any last comments or questions before we finish up? That's the time. I'll give 10 seconds. So Enlightened One, thank you for your comments and your insights. Anyone else? Everyone is shy. When is your next video? I will try to post the video of inviting everyone to give extra questions, so we would talk about it on a recorded video. So I'll do that soon. Next video, I'm planning to publish a video where I interview a person who does BJJ and Aikido, black belt in both. I'm planning to post one video per week these days because I'm very busy with a lot of other projects. But yeah, at least one video per week, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months I will publish the Modernized Aikido, where I go through the process of training with modern martial arts and trying to figure out how Aikido works in that setting. So do stay tuned. There's a lot of... Yeah, I made a video about Kaishiwaza. It's already uploaded. I just need to publish it in the next 3 weeks or so. So a lot of stuff coming. But again, thank you everyone for your support. I'm looking forward to connect up again. And thank you for everything. So take care everyone, and we finish up here.